Hello and welcome to another video. This is a long awaited one, the one I've been waiting to make for so long. This is a review of the Poco F5. Okay, starting off, the Poco F5 belongs to a series of phones called the Poco F series. Now, for people who do not know this, Xiaomi has three lines or three main brands. It has its main Xiaomi line, which is its flagship line, which contains all the flagship phones. That's Xiaomi. Before we used to call it the Mi line, now it's the Xiaomi line. You have Xiaomi, the Xiaomi 11, Xiaomi 11T, Xiaomi 11 Pro, Xiaomi 11 Ultra, and you've got the Xiaomi 12 Pro, 12X, and 12T, 12T Pro, and you've also got the Xiaomi 13 and so on and so forth. That's the Xiaomi line. Then after the Xiaomi line, you then have two other lines, both of which are, priced to, they offer good price for the performance. So that's the price to performance ratio, that's what we call it. So you've got the you've got the Poco series and you've got the Redmi series. Now, the Poco series are a group or a line of smartphones that are focused on performance, pure performance. If you are picking up a Poco phone, you should know this straight up, that what you are going to be getting is mostly performance, CPU performance. I think I've been doing a series on smartphone performance recently, so I would implore you to go check that out, right? So now let's get started. The first thing about this phone is its build quality. That's the first thing we always talk about when it comes to phones like this. We're always going to look at the build quality. Now, the phone is flat, as you can see. It's really flat. Now, unlike other phones, like phones like the Redmi phones, for example, that have like a really curved like edge at the back, that fits into the palm of your hand. This one, the curves at the edges are ever so subtle. So like it's going to take a while, especially if you're like me, coming from someone who used Redmi Note phones with curved back. This one is going to take some getting used to. I'm already getting used to it. So it's got a plastic frame, a plastic chassis. It's got a plastic frame, and then it's also got a plastic back. Now, unlike other phones or like other mid-range phones, this one doesn't come with a glass back. And I think I've noticed more recently or of late, a lot of companies are starting to ditch the glass back for plastic. I mean, yeah, if the phone falls, a plastic back is going to hold up better than a glass back will. And then also it also makes the phone lighter. And yeah, this phone is light. This phone is around 178 180 grams. Compared to my former 2 sack of rice, which I used to lug around. Sorry, Redmi Note 9 Pro. But this phone is like super light. I mean, compared to the other one, this phone is like really light, and it's also like really, like I said earlier, it's paper thin. But you should note that this phone doesn't come with any form of what's the word to use now, water resistance of any sort, any IP67, 68 rating. What it's got is an IP53 rating for water splash. That's water touching the surface, because I've seen a lot of people argue very blindly that IP53 means that it's some form of water resistance or water protection. No, please, it is not. IP53 is for dust and for water splashing on the surface. That means if water splashes on the surface, it's not going to get in. That's what it means. It doesn't mean if you drop this inside a bowl of water that it's going to hold up. It will not. So now when we're done with that, we're going to move on into the cameras. Now, before I go on, I must make this very clear, and I think it's very important to make it like really clear, that the Poco F phones are not known for camera performance. Okay, if you are buying a Poco F series phone and then you're looking for camera performance, you're looking in the wrong place. You need to go look elsewhere. Right, you need to go look elsewhere. This phone comes with a triple camera setup. There is a 64 megapixel camera on the back. That's the main shooter. It's an Omni Vision OV 64 megapixel camera. So that's the name of the camera. If you go on Google, I think I've already covered this on my website as well. That's a list of Omni Vision sensors. This one is a decent one. It's a decent one. not necessarily the best out there, but it's a very, very decent 64 megapixel sensor. And then after the 64 MP, there's a second camera on the back. That's an 8 MP ultra wide. That's a Sony IMX355. It's a legendary 8 MP ultra wide camera sensor. So I know a lot of people who have been with smartphones for a while know that this 8 megapixel is just, it's ubiquitous. It's been around a lot of phones, especially on Xiaomi phones and Samsung phones as well. So let's move on. Let's go on to the last camera, which is a 2 MP macro camera, which I will not be focusing too much on because I mean I come from a Redmi device, right? My previous device, I come from a Redmi device that has a 5 MP macro camera. This one is a step down, right? But so most people really who pick up this phone, like I said, if you're picking this up, it's not for camera, it's a triple camera setup here, it will do okay, right? And these cameras, I have tested them, I've taken them out into the field, I've tested them, especially because the main camera has OIS, that's optical image stabilization. And you know, I was very, very keen to take it out to test it. I had it, you know, I held it out, I walked around with it, did a little jog. It also helps to have steady hands, but hey, you know, when you take it and then you do the pan, you turn around and you move around like that, it's very, very decent, not best, really, really decent. It is going to best a lot of, let's just put it like this, it's at the top of what you are going to expect coming from a mid-ranger, right? From a mid-range phone. It's going to give you some of the best camera performances that you are going to get on a mid-range phone. Now, when it comes to the actual pictures itself, a lot of the review I did, I used the main camera itself. So the portraits are very okay. I mean, the shots you snap most of the time, if there's good lighting, it's going to do fine. It's going to give you, in fact, on the surface, if you look at it and you say you don't want to go into too much specifics, like, you know, for HDRO and the rest, it's going to give you something that's akin to what you get on, you know, most like base flagships, not super flagships, now base flagships or flagship killers, right? But this one is going to be very okay. Although I did notice that for the portraits, the AI can get a little confused sometimes. Like you can see, I took a picture of my brother, and you know, the AI cuts, you know, decided to like remove some parts of his cranium. Yeah, right there. I know you can see that, but you know, that one is for that. When it comes to camera performance, when it comes to video, this one, I think this one is very good enough. The ultra wide cameras are also very solid. Not good in darkness or when there is low light. Let's put it like that. When there's low light, it's not that good. But if you've got bright light, the ultra wide, both the ultra wide and the main camera, will do a very good job. I have refrained from talking about the macro camera because it's not really much to write home about. And then when you come over to night photography, like I said, ultra wide and the macro, nope. The main sensor itself is going to do very well, depending on the level of light that you have got. Now there's a night mode here. There is a long exposure mode here as well. I haven't really tried that yet. Maybe I'll do a subsequent, like, you know, camera, you know, focus review on the Poco F5. Maybe moving on. Then let's move on now to the selfie. The selfie cameras on here are the same 16 megapixel selfie shooter that you'd find on the F4, and then possibly on some, you know, earlier, like, you know, Redmi Note phones, like the Redmi Note 10 Pro, for example. I think it's the same 16 MP camera, but with better, the Snapdragon 7 Plus Gen 2, which I'm going to get to in a moment, offers like really better image processing. So you're going to see, I mean, even though this one can only shoot video of, you know, 1080p, it's still good enough. Like, it's still good enough. And now with that, let's move on to the display. The display on this one is it's a full HD. It's got it's an AMOLED panel, OLED, AMOLED panel, depending on where you're getting your information from. Personally, I think it's OLED. Yeah, so moving on, it's got up to 120 hertz refresh rate. Although you know, like when you scroll, the refresh rate is supposed to give you, like, you know, a much more smoother experience. Personally, I don't lock it on 120 hertz mode, because it's going to consume a lot more battery than what it's worth. I actually leave it at, you know, at automatic, so the device is going to adjust the refresh rate based on what it is that I am doing. So the display here is actually very good, and it's also pretty bright if you take it out in sunshine. The only problem I've had with it is that in a dark room, the auto mode seems to get a little bit confused, especially at night. It doesn't really know how well to adjust, so it will be up to you to adjust the brightness by yourself. But when you go out in bright sunlight and then you hit auto, it's going to go all the way up. This device can reach levels of up to 1,000 nits. Actually, GSM Arena, my friends at GSM Arena did the calculation. They actually tested it, and then they saw that it was up to around 978 to 980 something. So I'm guessing Xiaomi just rounded it up to 1,000. So that's that for the displays. And then let's move on now to performance, and that's the reason why most people get this device. It's because of the pure, raw, undiluted performance on this device. This device is powerful. It's got a Snapdragon 7 Plus Gen 2 chipset on board. Now, when the Snapdragon 7 Plus Gen 2 chipset first came out, I was like, oh, another Snapdragon 7 series chipset again, and I didn't really pay it much attention because I had seen the 7 Gen 1, and I was like, you know, the 7 Gen 1 is just there, but it's, you know, just a basic mid-range. I was expecting that the 7 Plus Gen 2 was going to be almost exactly, if not the same thing, or maybe just a minor improvement on the 7 Gen 1. Boy, was I wrong. For those who need to know, the Snapdragon 7 Plus Gen 2 is a rebranded, rebadged Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. I know what makes it even better is that the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 was made on Samsung's 4nm process, which to this day, I heard they're making some improvements, but to this day, the Snapdragon 7 Gen 1 on the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 on the Samsung 4nm process is not really as good as it was supposed to be. And you know, the Samsung process held back a lot of Qualcomm chipsets like the Snapdragon 888 and the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. And so as soon as Qualcomm decided to switch over to TSMC, they decided to redo the 8 Gen 1, but this time with a TSMC 4nm process. So the 8 Gen 1 done by TSMC is what gives us the 7 Plus Gen 2, and I am not making any bones of this. When it comes to performance, the 7 Plus Gen 2 is actually a lot better than the 8 Gen 1. The 8 Gen 1 is a good SoC, no doubt. The 7 Plus Gen 2 is going to outrun it when it comes to pure performance. And so basically what it means that if you get this device, you are getting flagship grade performance. The only areas where the 7 Plus Gen 2 falls short is that it lacks, you know, some of the flagship perks, like, you know, 8K video recording, for example, and you know, a faster 5G modem, for example, and you know, other little bells and whistles like that. But I guess when most people buy this device, I don't really think they care too much about that. They are buying it for the performance. That's the reason why I got this. Anyway, I'm getting this one for the performance. Now, when it comes to the actual performance, this device is a beast. I mean, in order to save battery, to tell you how powerful the 7 Plus Gen 2 is, in order to save battery, this phone, you can use it on 3 modes. It comes with 3 modes. It's got the battery saver, it's got balance, and it's got the performance mode. Now, on battery saver mode, where it's supposed to be nerfed, where it's supposed to be running at its slowest, I can run games like Call of Duty Mobile, PUBG, eFootball Mobile, all of them at high settings. And this smartphone doesn't break a sweat. It doesn't even heat up. Are you kidding me? It doesn't even heat up. Right? The only reason why it heats up is when I switch over and I start playing. I use Yuzu, a Nintendo Switch emulator, to play Nintendo Switch games, and I think that's when you now start to feel the heating, and then the heating starts to come up little by little, and then it starts to get hot. But you know that when you're running a Yuzu emulator, that's Nintendo Switch emulator, you know that you have to be pushing the max performance, and at that level I have to, you know what, I'm switching over to performance mode. I have to switch over to performance mode in order to be able to, you know, like, I mean, when you switch over to performance mode, the phone is going to tell you, bro, you're going to be using a lot more battery and this smartphone is going to heat up. Do you agree? Yes, good. Carry on. Now, other than that, other than the Yuzu and Skyline emulator that that cranks up the pressure on the smartphone processor, other stuff are literally a breeze. Genshin Impact, easy. Fortnite, easy. ETA SX2, Neta SX2 for PlayStation 2, easy. Dock Station for PlayStation 1, are you kidding me? Get out of here, man. Like, it's not even a contest at all. This smartphone is powerful. I mean, I on my old device, if I were making a YouTube video of about 15 minutes plus, and I wanted to I was done editing it and I wanted to get the video out, it will take a very long time, possibly 10 to 15 minutes, to have the smartphone do all of the editing that needs to be done and then output my video for me. This one, it more than doubles the time. It more than triples it even. And I'm just like, I put it down and I'm like, okay, this one is going to take a while, and then boom, my video is ready. This smartphone is powerful. And then that will then take us the final part of the review I want to talk about, and that is battery life. Now, with a smartphone this powerful, you need to know that the battery life on here is going to take a hit somewhat, and that's why if you're using this smartphone, you're going to, if you want to get decent battery life like I am enjoying right now, I get around, I mostly charge this once in a day. If I am not gaming, I charge it once in a day. I charge it in the morning and it will take me all the way to the evening, and I'll still have like 20-30% left. But if I was gaming, then I would probably need to charge twice in a day. But other than that, the battery life on this one is solid, and there is a there's a cooling system on here that Xiaomi have put because of the power of this processor. This processor is more powerful, right? Because I have a PC, right? I have a PC here. I don't know if you can. I have a PC here. Oh, that fell. I have a PC here, and that's an i5. That's a Core i5 8th generation PC. It doesn't come anywhere near this in terms of performance. Yeah, I mean, yes, it's a U, right? Sorry, it's a U. It's a U CPU, right? That's the 8250U, right? So it's designed to run light and then conserve battery. It's not close to this one. This one is more powerful. So you need to understand that when you talk about battery life. So if you want to get a good battery life out of this smartphone, you may want to leave your phone unbalanced or on battery saver. And so other stuff you need to know is that there's a USB-C here. There's a USB-C port here. It's got dual speakers, a stereo speaker system, one at the top and then one at the bottom. There is also, of course, Xiaomi tradition. There's also an IR blaster here. Unfortunately, the USB here is USB 2.1. It's up from USB 2.0. I don't know if it's something to be happy about or something to nag about. But hey, considering the price of this smartphone, which we're about to get into, maybe you could actually, say, who cares really? And I want to take us to the price of this phone. This phone sells for around just over 300 USD. Prices are changing. I don't know. I bought it here in Nigeria for 320,000. Although my seller gave me a discount, so I'm going to give him a shout out. Ezenku Bushi Ventures, he knocked 10k of the price for me. So yeah, Bushi, if you're watching this, yeah, I'm giving you a shout out. I think you've earned it. So yeah, with that, we've come to the end of this video. So this is the Poco F5, a flagship, a bona fide flagship killer, if I may add. So yeah, that's it. We're done for this video. Tell me what you think. Are you going to be getting one of these? Is your pocket that deep? Or I know there's a market for phones like this for people. Just great performance, nothing more, nothing less. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one. As always, make sure to like, subscribe, share. And let me just make this disclaimer. I bought this phone for my personal use. I'm not making a review on behalf of any company. I wanted the phone, I bought it. Right? Because my old device has been it's 3 years plus now, and it's starting to show, the Snapdragon 720G is starting to show its age. So I think I'm safe for the next 3 years or so. Yeah. So yeah, see you in the next one, guys. Cheers.